Hello, AP Comparative Government students. I hope you are having a good weekend and I hope that you are ready to get started with the course. We are going to move into Essential Unit 1 this week. Essential Unit 1 is really an introduction to the science behind comparative politics. We'll take a look at the 6 course countries for this class. They include Great Britain, China, Iran, Mexico, Russia, and Nigeria. And along with that, we'll just kind of have a look at some of the different types of data that comparative political scientists look at in order to draw conclusions about points that they make regarding countries and the state that they are in related to politics, related to legitimacy, how supported these governments are by their people, and also related to economics and politics. So really all of these things, it's more an introduction. We will get into the unit topics that the AP College Board expects you to master within the context of the next essential unit that I will introduce you to. But first, just an introduction. So as you saw on the course page, this unit will be open for just 2 weeks. So it's a quick unit because really everything that you will learn in this unit, then there's application of it later on in the other essential units. So let's go to the course page and I'll talk to you about what you need to do this week specifically. And then hopefully if you have any questions about that, you contact me throughout the week and I can help you in a Teams chat, or if we have another video call, that would be fine too. Okay, so let's go to the course page and take a look at where we're at. So make sure you go on to the AP Comparative Government page and scroll down. So here's the mastery table. So if you want to have a general idea of the outline of units for the year, you could see the unit that we're going to start today, Essential Unit 1, Introduction to Comparative Government, will be open on the dates that are listed here. Again, these dates change from year to year, but they'll run for about, this unit will run for about 2 weeks. The mock exam that you did last week in Selective Unit 1, that is over and done with for now. You'll take other mock exams throughout the year, but for now, I just wanted to give you kind of like a little bit of exposure to what you're up against for the exam in May, okay? And then if you scroll down, so you have all of these unit tabs, you can see that I even moved Selective Unit 1 to the bottom of all of the tabs in this menu of options, and I put up top and highlighted Essential Unit 1. So go ahead and click that one open, and when you do, you'll see that I have a nice little graphic here that just kind of gives you an introduction to what we'll be taking a look at in this unit. You should pay attention to the graphics, take some time to read them. And this one in particularly, it introduces you to methodologies in political science. And if you look at it a little bit more closely, it branches off into 2 different sets of methods, scientific and non-scientific. And then if you take a look at those 2 branches, they even further branch off. So if we look at the one on the bottom, scientific, non-scientific method, that is, you can see that that branches off into the historical method versus the comparative method. So in the historical method, we're looking at the past and taking a look at how that's influenced political systems and structures that exist today. And then the comparative method, I believe, kind of speaks for itself when we take 2 or more political structures and look for similarities and differences and try to draw conclusions what those similarities and differences are based off of, whether it be history or geography or some catastrophic event that happened within the context of the country's history. Then you'll take a look at the top part, the scientific method, and see how that branches off into empirical research, statistical, and quantitative method. And then even with the empirical research, that's divided further into observational and experimental. And I think those kind of speak for themselves also. And we'll look more at that as we move through the activities within the context of this unit. Every unit will have a unit overview. So if you take a look here, you can read through this, and it essentially reemphasizes what I have up here in this picture. Students will become familiar with the methodology used in the study of comparative governments. We'll take a look at the big idea of methods of political analysis. This is from the AP College Board. So that's one of those big ideas that you will be introduced to in this unit early on. They will be introduced to the disciplinary practices of concept application, country comparison, data analysis, source analysis, and argumentation, which will then be applied within content units. So this is very important because, again, as I mentioned earlier, it's going to set a foundation for what we're going to do in later units. Again, the pacing for the unit is 12 weeks. Here are the TSWs, so if you want to go ahead and open those up, you can. What you're going to see is every activity is aligned to those TSWs. Along with the TSWs, you have a set of resources. There's two different sets. The reading assignments, so as I mentioned last week, the O'Neill textbook reading, pages 3 to 27, will be applied for this unit. You can download the PDF to that reading right there, and I would suggest printing it so that you can take notes from it. And then there's a journal article here, Comparative Politics Made Simple, that we're going to read. It's aligned with an assignment later on in the unit. I talked about notes last week. You do need to take notes for the unit. I will collect them at the end of the unit. I'm not going to force you into any particular note-taking method. I do have 3 suggestions here, so you're welcome to choose any one of these 3 suggestions, or if you already have a model that you use, you can use that one as well. But here's the Cornell method, the typical like standard outline method, and the SQ3R method. So you can check them out. There's templates for each of them. Whichever one you feel most comfortable or most familiar with. If you don't know how to take notes and you want help with that, we can definitely meet and I can show you how you could take notes using any one of these methods, okay? Moving down, then these are the unit activities that are required for mastery. If you go ahead and click here on this link, that's a grade rubric and what differentiates an A from a B. You'll see that one important feature of this unit is like content organization. Sorry, it's taking a minute to load up here. And that comes within the context of taking notes. So unit content organization, mastery of all TSWs, mastery of the big ideas that I introduced to you, along with the course skills. At the end of every unit, you'll do a concept map, which acts as a reflection. At the end of every unit, you'll have an AP type assessment. And then finally, you will, in most units, take the progress check at the end of the unit in preparation for this AP type assessment. So those can be found on that College Board website that I told you you had to join with the join code that I gave you on the course page. So this is what differentiates for an A from a B. And on that final assessment, you can see that there's some points here that further explain what your score has to be on that final AP style assessment in order for you to get an A in the unit. Okay, so the rubric can be found there. At the end of the unit, I'll write comments on the rubric and post it for your essential unit grade. Okay. But really what you have to worry about this week is everything found under week 1. So there's a label here, week 1, and then week 2. So once you get to week 2, you can stop, okay? And then within week 1, there's some subtopics. These AP Comparative Government Disciplinary Practices. I want to introduce you to the AP Comparative Government Big Ideas. Then we'll take a look at methodologies in political science. And that's the last topic for the week, along with that O'Neill reading, pages 3 to 27. So back to the top, With the disciplinary practices, there's a SCORM package here. Now, I sent a video this weekend about how to do the SCORMs, and you already did SCORMs in Selective Unit 1 when I was introducing you to the different types of multiple choice questions within the context of the AP exam and even the FRQs. So if you go ahead and click open this SCORM, you'll see that you are going to be introduced to the disciplinary practices. There are 5 of them in the AP Comparative Government course. So click it open even further, and then I'll just kind of give you some tips when you get there. So if you click on this arrow, if it's showing up really tiny on your screen, it'll make it bigger. So see, just go like that. And then with this SCORM, there are 8 pages. So make sure that you work through all of them, and then there are 40 points in total. Now, with free response questions in these SCORMs, you type them in, and then I add scores to your point total. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of take you to the next page so that you can see these disciplinary practices. So these are the 5 disciplinary practices: concept application, country comparison, data analysis, source analysis, and argumentation. Some of them kind of speak for themselves. Others you need to probably read through so that you get a stronger understanding of what we mean by data analysis, for example. Okay, so work through this SCORM, all 8 pages, and when you get to the end, make sure you type in your name and click email score, because that's when it sends your answers to my email. Okay, and I want to really emphasize that point so that you make sure you save all of your work. Okay, and then in the next activity, you're going to be introduced to the AP Comparative Government Big Ideas. So same, that's another SCORM package. And then we move into the final topic for the week, methodologies in political science. I suggest that you begin reading the O'Neill. Your notes for the O'Neill are not due until the end of the unit. But in this first activity within this subtopic, we're going to talk about or look at enlightened contributions to political science. So we'll look at enlightened thinkers like John Locke and Hobbes and Montesquieu and Rousseau. Hopefully you've heard some of those names. If not, you'll get introduced to them in this activity. And then 3 more SCORM packages: introduction to methods in comparative politics, so different approaches that political scientists use. And then finally, the difference between qualitative and quantitative data. This is really important. I think quantitative data kind of speaks for itself, and that we look at numbers in order to back up any conclusions that we draw about some event or some political structure, whereas qualitative data is not as objective. It's more subjective. Maybe it's like a historical analysis or something like that. We'll take a look at trends in comparative politics over time, particularly the theories and how they've changed. One big theory in there that you'll look at is liberalism, and that's an important point, especially as we talk about political structures in the 20th century and the 21st century. And then finally, I'm going to have you take a political typologies quiz, which I think is really fun. And it'll be interesting for you to see like where you stand politically. Maybe you already know, but one thing that this typology quiz will do is give you a little bit more detailed analysis of what you may think you already know about yourself in terms of whether you lean politically more to the left or to the right. Okay, so lots of work this week. I want to emphasize the point of you working every day. You cannot save this till next Friday. If you do, you're going to be overwhelmed on the weekend. So make sure you're working about 2 hours per day. That's the expectation if you are taking an AP course. So, you know, some days you might get away with just working an hour and a half, but you're going to see that if you're going to complete all of those activities within the week, it will take about 2 hours per day. Sure, you can double up on some days and not work on others, but you're going to have to find a way to manage your time effectively to stay on pace. Okay, contact me with questions. I'm happy to help. Otherwise, everything is there for you on the course page, but I will definitely meet with you in a call if needed. Have a good week. Bye.